Call the meeting to order.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first item is the minutes of this committee's meeting held Monday, January 10th, and recommendations to approve those minutes.
Second. All those, any issues, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous.
Item 2 is a delegation. I'd like to invite Ms. Daniels from Arts Connect, Ms. Clark from Coastal Sound Music Academy, and Mr. Walden from the Evergreen Cultural Centre to speak on the Water's Edge Festival in 2011.
Welcome, welcome.
Hello, thank you. Well, John Paul is right here. Diana Clark couldn't come. She's teaching right now. She sends her regrets. She would love to have been here. Then she might have even sung a song for you or something. I don't know. First of all, I'd like to thank the committee for this opportunity to appear before you. It's always good for us to be able to share news of exciting events that were arts and cultural happenings that we're part of here in Coquitlam. We're very excited that through our collaborative efforts with our partners, Evergreen and Coastal Sound, that Water's Edge Festival 2011 will be happening this year from February 25th to 27th. As you can see, we've got the website up on the screen to help give you an idea of what's in store during the festival. To give you a little bit of background, Arts Connect, as an arts council, was eligible to apply for provincial funding to put on a festival in February. The idea was to keep alive the spirit of BC that we experienced in the 2010 Olympic Games. I'm sure we can all remember what an exciting time that was and the pride that we all felt. So together with our partners, we applied to present Water's Edge Festival number 3 and received $46,000 to make it happen. Without this funding, the Water's Edge wouldn't be happening this year. Arts Connect is very happy to be the vehicle and inspiration behind making it a reality with tremendous help from our collaborating partners. John Paul is, by the way, a very good grant writer. Thank you for your... He helped a lot with that. The whole team did. So Water's Edge started here as a cultural Olympiad event. This, together with support from the province of BC, serves as acknowledgement of the importance of this urban festival being held here in Coquitlam. The caliber of talent that local citizens are exposed to and the opportunity for local engagement both add to the richness of our community. So now on to the festival. You might be wondering what's new this year, and in a word, lots. In the past, you might remember that the festival's focus was on music. And this year, we're able to broaden the scope to also include visual arts, dance, and drama. This is reflected in our new tagline, which is, where the arts meet you. In the past, it was where the music meets you. Also, new this year, thanks to the funding we received, we're able to offer many free workshops for our community to take in, as well as mentorship through master classes. In our application, we stressed that we want to make the event accessible and provide learning opportunities, and we will be delivering on that. Now, although I'd love to, there isn't time to tell you about everything that's planned, so I'll stick with a few highlights. So it does start on the Friday night of the 27th, and it goes through to Friday night the 25th, and goes through to Sunday the 27th. So the festival kicks off on Friday with a children's choir workshop during the day and a day of singing family concert that night. This will no doubt be as popular as it has been in past years. On Saturday, the evening performance will feature Ballet Kelowna's program called Be Moved, Action Consequences. This is the premiere of a newly commissioned ballet by one of Canada's brightest and most original choreographers, Giocondo Barbuto, and there will be additional repertoire as well. Sunday afternoon, headlining the festival is Dee Daniels in concert, and the grant particularly made us able to bring Dee Daniels here. So it'll be an afternoon of jazz, blues, and gospel. Dee Daniels offers jazz lovers an ultimate treat, a chance to enjoy her amazing voice with her 4-octave range and her talented trio. On Sunday night, Arts Connect is presenting our second Pachachka Night Coquitlam. Now, it's one thing to pronounce it, it's a whole other thing to describe it. You might recall that I did do a presentation on that in the fall. We did have our first one on November 15th, and it was just amazing. We had a great time, and it was really well received. So again, we'll have 12 presenters who will share with us their stories on what inspires them and their creative work. And they'll show us through 20 slides being shown for 20 seconds each. So in addition to all that I've mentioned so far, some of the free workshops and events are the Guitar Jam, Drum Circle, Studio Arts, which are hands-on art workshops, and Dance Exploration. The Song Cafe is backed by popular demand, and it's a singer-songwriter event giving emerging talent the chance to rub shoulders with established artists and anyone else who's brave enough for the open mic session. So hopefully that gives you a sense of the exciting lineup that we have for the Water's Edge Festival. I think you'll all agree that this festival is in keeping with the City of Coquitlam's slogan, the city that celebrates. Something else that the funding has enabled us to do is to hire someone proficient in social media to help with promotion of this event. So now I'd like you to take out your handheld devices and post the festival website on your Facebook page. Or you can like the Water's Edge Festival Facebook page, or you could do both. And there's also good old word of mouth. So tickets are on sale now, and you too can be part of our team promoting the event. We hope to see you there. In closing, I'd like to acknowledge our partners, Evergreen and Coastal Sound. It's been great collaborating with them to pull this festival together. And I think I really need to point out that this is no small feat. It's all the more amazing because we only received confirmation of the grant on November 18th, giving us 3 months with Christmas holidays thrown in to make it happen. Fortunately, we've been all up for the challenge. Of course, it hasn't happened yet, but we're assuming it's going to be amazing. And we'd also like to acknowledge the City of Coquitlam for its support of Evergreen, Coastal Sound, and Arts Connect. So we brought along some RAT cards, just hot off the press with information, and also have the website on it. And we'll be sending invitations to you so that you can come and help us celebrate at the festival. So did you have anything to add? Because I think I probably ran through it so fast I didn't use up my 5 minutes.
We'll see you all there. There's a plethora of events and for family and for individuals and for adults, all sorts of music and dance, and it's just a great opportunity to jump in for free or for not.
Well, first of all, let me make it clear that when you come and talk to us here at our committee, you got way more than 5 minutes anytime you want to come and talk. So don't ever think that that's going to be an issue. Thank you very much. Is there any questions? Thank you very much. I hope this is a great success. I'm sure it will be.
I remember you saying the last time that we had raised the bar on presentations, and so I thought, oh, now we've got to keep up to that standard every time we come here. So anyway, we encourage people to go to the site, tell their friends about it, and buy tickets. Come.
Well, we do have a question now. Neil.
Thank you. Thanks, Alan.
You too.
Jean Paul. I was madly trying to get your website up because I couldn't think of a way to ask the clerk to scroll it for me on our screen, but I didn't get it up in time. And I wondered, could you talk? Your events are exciting, but there's a whole lot of free stuff. Can you talk for a minute or two about some of that?
Well, the best thing is
opportunities for people?
Look at right here in this area here, all the event info information will give you all the free workshops throughout the weekend. And the workshops, guitar jam.
I wanted you to plug a couple.
One was the guitar jam that was really popular last year. They used the rehearsal studio, and they put on the website the songs that are going to be played on guitar that day ahead of time. So then they get something like 60 or 70 people in the rehearsal hall all playing the same song together. And all ages, and it's a great intergenerational thing. And again, you have emerging and more established artists. Diana Clark's husband is a well-known guitarist. He's going to be leading that. And the drum circle, that started a couple of years ago. In the first year of the festival, it was a 25-hour festival. It started at 9 in the morning and went through the clock. And at midnight, they had at midnight they had a drum circle that attracted about 80 people. So that's why it's on the agenda again, because it proved to be so popular. But we'll also have visual artists doing hands-on workshops, so that they'll be, Gay Mitchell is one of the ones that works out of the Evergreen. So she'll be doing that. And that's
perhaps
mostly it.
Even that Sunday is quite a day on the final Sunday with Dee Daniels in the morning. Workshops starting in the morning with Dee Daniels concert, and then
she's in the afternoon, right? Mm-hmm.
Then we have an art gallery opening, and then we have Chapter night right afterwards with a sort of a final festival party as well, squished in there somehow. It's going to be very exciting.
And something else that the funding helped us to do is to properly pay the artists participating. I think in the past it's been a case of partial honorariums or favors pulled in and things like that. And this time we can actually pay people properly for what they're doing.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item 3, concerns Miller Elementary School and it's the addition of park washrooms. The staff recommendation is that Council approve the constructions of these publicly accessible washrooms and that Council authorize staff to negotiate and enter an agreement with School District 43 with regard to that.
Ms. McKay, I think you... Was there a seconder?
I'll second.
Ms. McKay, I think you have some pictures to go along with this?
Yes, but no microphone.
Perfect.
The clerk could...
Oh, that's engineering that broke that the last time.
If you'd like to be a counselor for the moment.
Yeah.
Yes. There is an image, committee may recall, thank you. Committee may recall that we started this project with School District 43 a little over a year ago, and it does represent a cooperative initiative between the board and ourselves. This slide, thank you, Karen, shows the Miller site. You can see Miller Elementary School at the upper left-hand corner, and that white square is the site where a small washroom addition would be attached to the school. This was not part of the previous school, but there was an opportunity because Miller School was going through some major capital work with a seismic upgrade. And so we approached the school to see if they would be interested and willing in adding on 2 universal washrooms to support the playing fields as well as the nearby Miller Park. And they were agreeable, and it was costed out as a separate project to see if it was affordable. And indeed, we did get some very attractive prices in that does make it a feasible project. So that's the image there, and staff are available to answer any questions.
Well, we have a couple of questions. Selena?
Thank you. I fully appreciate that we're making use of the seismic upgrading as an opportunity to build these washrooms. I think we need to capitalize on more of these. And I do know that that there have been some challenges in the past about shared facilities, and I just want to make sure that when we share a resource like this, do we have a mechanism in place for where there are conflicts between shared facilities? Do we have a good protocol in place to come to the table to resolve them? I just want to make sure that we've looked at eventualities that, we try to plan for everything, every eventuality, but the truth is there may be some conflict in the future that we hadn't thought of. And at a minimum, do we have a good process for what we will do should there be a conflict or a challenge about who's going to pay for what or who's going to use it? Do we have an agreement about how to do that?
We don't have an agreement in place yet on this particular site. We do have an overall shared use agreement with the school board that guides any conflict resolution processes for any of our shared use facilities. In this one in particular, we will negotiate an agreement that is quite specific about use as well as costs and obligations for maintenance. And it's quite common to have a specific conflict resolution clause within the agreement as well. And that will be something that we'll look for in this particular agreement.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Richard?
I'm pleased to see these types of cooperative efforts. In fact, for the last 30 years, that's been a challenge at that particular field, is how do you use the facilities? There aren't any facilities on weekends, for example. One of the questions I have related to these is how have we assessed the operating costs tied to the capital? In this case, who locks and unlocks? Is it part of the automated locking and unlocking system that the Parks Department uses remotely, etc.?
And I'll ask Kevin Corms, our operations manager for facilities, to respond.
Through the chair, we typically with the school washrooms, what we've done is we based the takeoff budget on washrooms we currently have in place. We have several unisex washrooms throughout the city that we share with the school. They are on their Ibuku lock system, so it's automatic open and close.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Anything else?
No, that's it. Thanks.
Lou?
Yes, thank you. On this one here, It's got some figures here on page 2 of $200,000 plus $10,000 for contingency. Now, how much of the school board is going to pay towards this, and how much are we paying towards this? How we split?
This particular arrangement is the capital to build these washrooms is 100% borne by the city, although the design work was done by the school board as part of their overall design for the school. On the operating side, the school board, first of all, is providing the land at no cost to the city, and they're providing the services for the capital preventative maintenance program. So the heating, the electrical, the sewer, the roofing, and the building envelope. And for operating, we will take care of the maintenance, such as janitorial, as well as any inside fixture, replacements if there's, painting that needs to be done on the inside. So that is how basically the difference in responsibilities go. We had originally anticipated it was going to be in the range of $200,000, but the actual costs that came in were at $159,000.
Okay. Now, I'm going back a few years ago. We have many, many projects where the school board and the city are in together. We build the fields in their schools, and then we have a 50-50 maintenance, and for the maybe a year or two, maybe not even that, the school board is always short of money. They're never, that they're not pressed in the budget, that the provincial government has got them to where they're scrambling for money. And, it never did work out to where eventually what happens, that the municipality picks up the whole tab for everything. And that's my concern. I mean, I know that we want to work with the school board, and we have got negotiations. I know the managers had, meetings with the directors and the board and the school board and everything else. And it all sounds very flowery and rosy, but it's not the way it really works out to be. The fact is that we have to be very, very careful that we know we're going to pick up the tab eventually. So there's no such thing as sharing, and it's going to be kissy-kissy, everything's going to be okay. Because it's not going to be okay. The minute it got crunched for money from Victoria, the first thing to do is cut the relationship that we have with the schools and that we have with the school board. And it all falls on our back. So we have to be very, very careful on that. Because I haven't had one that's worked out, not one, over the last 30 years.
Thank you. Neil?
Thanks, Doug. Operating hours, I think I heard Kevin say the school district will look after unlocking and locking, or do we do that? We do that? So we're in control of the operating hours. Have we set them at this point, or will it vary with the season?
Through the chair, the hours will vary to the season. These are washrooms that are in excess of what the school requires. The school would not be putting in these washrooms. So we are putting them in for our use. And since we don't have land here that has services, this was the most cost-effective way of doing that. But these are washrooms to serve the fields and the parks. So they won't be used during the day for school use. They're available to the public using the fields and the park. And so we will control those hours outside of school hours. It could include school holiday breaks. It could include after school time or after 6 o'clock. But they're there, and the investment is there to serve the field and park needs, not the school needs. Now, if the school does require that they need them for a school play day or something like that, I'm sure that we'd be happy to cooperate with them to open them on that day. But the simple answer to the question is that we will control the hours of access.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I didn't imply, I don't think, that the school would be using the washrooms. I didn't have that in mind at all. What I would like to know is what the operating hours are to be.
$60 at $100 a year.
And the hours will typically be the hours that we book the fields and the park, after school, evenings, and weekends.
So they won't be available during school hours, is that right?
We don't anticipate that they will be open during school hours, but we will talk to the school board about that seasonally so that visitors to Miller Park, should they wish to have access, and if it doesn't conflict with the school use of their site, it would be nice if we could make them available to that public, but that will have to be negotiated with the school board.
Okay, I'm sorry. I would have thought that would have been negotiated before we committed, but there we go.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad that we're going ahead with this. There's a couple of different examples, Parkland, Millard, where we share facilities, sports facilities with the schools. And I would like to see this continue on. We're going to be looking at some shared sports facilities or spaces up on Burke Mountain when the new schools are built, and I would like to see these built into the new schools so that these aren't an issue to put in afterwards, but get into the building design so that we're better able to respond to these things further down the road. I understand that we've had some cooperation with the school board, but I'm really pleased to see the cooperation that we've had with the user groups in the design of this and the positioning of this washroom, and that really goes a long way to the relationships that we're building with the sport groups, and I like to see that. Richard?
I have one other question, and partly in response to a concern that Councillor Sikora appears to have. I recognize that there isn't any change anticipated in this relationship because we are covering 100% of the costs of operating the washrooms because they're park washrooms. The opportunity, I guess, was to situate them somewhere else. We have a park adjacent to this, and we could have put it on the parkland. I think I know the answer to the question, but is it, given the shortage of services in Miller Park, which is right next door to Miller Elementary School, how much are we saving by attaching it to an elementary school in really orders of magnitude?
I'll refer to staff to see if they can give you an actual cost, but we don't currently have services in Miller Park, and so it would have been cost prohibitive to put a washroom into that facility. This was seen as a much more cost-effective way, but I'll see if staff actually have those figures available today.
It would be a really rough estimate, but based on a small park washroom facility running all new services, probably going to be order of magnitude anywhere $250,000 up. Okay,
and I say that I bring that up only because I do want to allay any concerns of a council member who might think that there was a more. I think this is a pretty cost-effective solution, and I applaud staff and this committee for recognizing that we need to work together. If there's a building on a site like this that already has services, it's much more cost effective to tap into those services and provide the washroom facilities in cooperation than it would be to build a freestanding standalone. And we saw the same thing at the Hickey tennis courts, for example, although there the issues were somewhat more related to fire access, where the cost of producing a washroom initially was more than $400,000 and clearly prohibitive. This solution allows us to get washrooms onto a field that is used by our children every weekend and most evenings, and this makes good sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This is built on school board property, am I correct? Right? Okay, well,
that's correct.
The question is this, very, very simple. That the fact is we work with the school board, we have agreements that didn't work, and this one can be very, very touchy also, because the school board can say, well, our custodian that is looking after the school at night will be looking after the washrooms at the same time. It's on their site. And how do you get away from that? You can't, if they really want to force the issue. They have a union place, it's a union place, and that's the way you do it. So, I mean, you know, it may sound very, very good, but in reality, it could be a tough one to work with at a later date.
Okay.
I'm supporting it, but frankly, I'm just saying heads up on some of the problems that we may have.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor of the recommendation? Opposed? Unanimous.
Mr. Chair, that's the last formal item on this agenda.
And I note that we go from here directly into closed. So we have a motion. Well, first of all, is there anything from around the table in open before we... No? Okay. We'll finish up
Move
here and go into
adjournment.
closed. So we have a motion?
Move it.
Seconder?
Second.
All those in favor? Unanimous.